My parents got divorced when I was 3, and I've never lived with my dad. He's an ultra fell runner, and I sometimes feel like I don't understand him, and I really want that to change. Strava can tell me how far he went, the elevation, the pace, even the shoes he was wearing, but it doesn't tell you why. My dad's running journey has spanned my entire life. He even started running because of me and my sister. I was 8 and my sister was 4, and we were at Dunstan McCastle in Northumberland, and we didn't want to walk, so he ran back to the car to come and pick us up. He wasn't a runner but ran 4 miles for us and loved it, and he hasn't stopped since. Since then, he's done countless ultra fell races that are anywhere from 20 to 70 miles, all because his daughters were whining about doing a walk.
The very first time I ever saw a fell runner, I was on a walk from Edale to Home Firth, shortly after my daughter had been born, a couple of months after, with a friend. I was having a weekend break. We were not fit in any way. Our plan was to walk and smoke weed, and then walk a bit more, make a cup of tea, smoke some more weed, and take 2 days to basically amble our way from Edale to Home Firth. And as we approached what I now know as Seal Stones on the northern edge of the Kinder Plateau, a man came power walking up wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I said to my friend, "What the hell's he doing?" He said, "I think he must be a fell runner." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's someone who runs up mountains for pleasure." And I remember saying, "He must be mad." That's the shot.
I do worry about my dad. I think he has a running addiction, and I worry about what happens if it ends, or where it ends. The distances he goes are astonishing. It's his way of coping, and I'd be heartbroken if that was taken away from him because of injury or age. We asked him what he thinks about when he's running, and he talked about my granny who died when I was 11 and said something I'd never heard before.
The day after my mother died, I went for a 20-mile run, and I'm really glad I did that. That was one of the times when I was thinking of something other than running, and I was thinking of my mum that day. My mum died with dementia. She actually died of pneumonia, but it was after 8 years of Alzheimer's disease. And if I'm honest, I was pleased when she died, because Alzheimer's is awful, and I know my mum would have been devastated if she could have seen the state she was in by the time she died. She had no control over anything. I started running 3 years after her diagnosis, and she was aware of some of the races I did, but she died a year before I did my Bob Graham, so she never knew about that. And I told her I was training for it, but I don't think she understood that at all.
After the interview was over, I went home sad about being reminded of her death, but also with a new sense of connection to my dad. Grief is complicated and an uphill battle, but my dad keeps going.
I do Bob Graham support, which Bob Graham is a challenge in the Lake District, where runners have to do over 42 peaks in 24 hours, and they're helped by pacers and supporters. And I love helping pace people on that, where you go up and you carry their gear, you do the navigation for them, you make sure they're all right. We're all suffering the same hills, we're all suffering the same deprivations, and there's far more of a community in it.
I've always had an image in my head of my dad, alone in the mountains or on a moor, just running. I've always wondered how and why he does it, but I've learnt that it's about so much more than just running. It's a way of coping, a community, therapy, and to know my dad finds so much joy running in the clouds, I stopped worrying about the physical distance between us. In researching, we found a poem my dad had written when he finishes Bob Graham, and by piecing this decade-long story together, I feel like I know him so differently now.
You may find yourself living out a long-held dream, and you may find yourself in a stunning part of the world, and you may find yourself above the clouds with a large grin on your face, and you may find yourself on a beautiful fell with a beautiful life, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?